Okay, peace to the massive. Welcome to the Social Athletic. Once again, this is episode 2. Here with my co-host, my man Danny Ortiz, also known as the Ortizinator. And we have a special guest, ladies and gentlemen. Two-time champion, Chicago Bulls, Alabama great, Jason Caffey. Welcome to the Social Athletic.
Hey, Charnel, thank you guys for having me on, man. Looking forward to getting this done with you guys.
No doubt. So we're going to get right into it, man. The first question is, what was the landscape in Alabama that led you to becoming a basketball player? What was going on in Alabama that led you into basketball?
Well, being from the dirty South, we're known for football down here. Football was never my thing. Ever since I was a kid, 6, 7 years old, I was fascinated with basketball. I was a big Lakers fan, watching Magic and Worthy and Kareem and all those guys. And I used to tell people at a young age, hey, I'm going to be there one day. And I just kept that belief, man, and kept working. And ironically, I was the shortest guy on the team in middle school. You know, probably the last person you thought would have made it professionally. But I had a growth spurt where I grew like 6 inches in 1 year. And I went from playing no basketball, sitting on the bench, to being the tallest guy in the high school and becoming a pretty good basketball player.
No doubt. Entering high school, right? Like, who were some of the best players, like, at that time when you was going into high school that just inspired you to just want to be better?
You know my homeboy, Antonio Lang. He was very big in the city at the time. Not only was he a great basketball player, but athletically, academically, he's a very smart man. So he got a lot of pull-up, McDonald's All-American, and I saw all that hype. And I wanted to be a part of that, man, and I just kept working until I kind of reached that plateau.
No, Antonio, by the way, is one of my former teammates, and I'm also still in touch with him right now. Great guy, great smart guy. I played with Antonio 1 year, and he taught me so much. But even right now, 20 years later, we still, when I reconnected with him, it was like we never left. So that was a good person to look up to. So the question is, when did you start to develop as a great high school basketball player that led you into to your later years in high school, as far as college recruitment?
Probably around my junior year, I had an explosion. I went from being on varsity in the 10th grade to averaging about 4 or 5 points a game, to coming back my junior year to boosting those numbers up to 20 and 10 a game. I started working out, doing the push-ups, started jogging 2-3 miles a day, and just really got into the workout part of the regimen, because as I said, I went on a growth spurt, and my body was still weak from being a short guy. I wasn't used to carrying the extra weight, the extra height, so I had to work out and build my body to carry that 6'8" frame at 235 pounds. And once I did that, the sky was the limit.
Gotcha. Did you get your McDonald's? Did you make McDonald's? I know you was a couple of years behind me. Did you make McDonald's in high school?
I did. I was actually honorable mention that you get to play in the game. As I said, we were known basically for football down here. It was very hard for us to get attention. Antonio was one of the only guys that ever came from this area that got all that attention from McDonald's All-American, and everybody else that was out that was talking about these high school basketball players at the time.
When I first met Antonio with my first year with Cleveland, I didn't even know much about him that much. I know he went to Duke and he was cool with Grant, but I didn't realize he was so humble that I didn't know that he was like a really great high school basketball player. And then he never really talked about it much. I think he used to mention it, and then I started to find out more about him. I was like I realized he's a humble dude, man.
Man, dude was valedictorian of his class. Very brilliant mindset. Came from humble beginnings. Got a great family. Their team won championships. His coach and several other players from that team, including him, are in the Mobile Sports Hall of Fame. They're well deserved. Just a great basketball program. He came through at LaFleur High School, which featured DeMarcus Cousins and some other players that are probably going to be pros in years to come.
And that's another question. I wanted to give you a shout. What high school did you go to? Just to give a shout out, make sure that's known.
Yeah, big shout out to W.P. Davidson. We didn't put a lot of guys in professions in basketball, but it's one of the best academic schools in the state of Alabama, and that's one of the things that helped me make it through tough times that I kind of put myself through. I was able to fall back on that education I got from Davidson, so very thankful that I attended that high school.
Cool. So I guess the next question is, and I hope it's not a stupid one, but why did you choose the University of Alabama?
Man, growing up in Alabama, you're either an Alabama or Auburn fan, and that's usually just the way it goes. I was a fan of both schools, but I used to see this guy named Buck Johnson. He's from Birmingham. He used to play for the Houston Rockets back in the day. And, people would say that guy right there went to the University of Alabama. And when I heard that, and I knew the University of Alabama was only 2.5 hours away from Mobile, it made me start to believe that, hey, maybe I can, do the same thing this guy did. Maybe I could go to the University of Alabama and one day be on TV as a professional basketball player. And from that moment forward, I just continued to work towards that.
And people don't – oh, go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I was going to ask because, Jason, I actually live down here in Georgia. So, we have a lot of Roll Tide people down here. So, there's always a dynamic between them and the Auburn people, seeing them go at it. But like you mentioned earlier, it's always revolving around football. How celebrated was basketball during the time, especially seeing the hype of you just accelerating your game in basketball? How was basketball starting to be celebrated in Alabama during that time frame?
A very distant second. As you said, this is football country, and we accept that. But we have some really good players coming up through here during that time. Quinn Higgins, if he wouldn't have had the knee injuries, he played at Wyoming, he probably would have been a lottery pick. Angelo Hamilton, which is first cousins with Antonio Lang, he played at Oklahoma. He was an All-American JUCO player. We had a lot of good players coming from this area. So we, as a whole, the basketball players and that community was proud of it. But the attention, we really didn't get a lot of attention because football just dominated everything.
No doubt. Mm-hmm. As Danny was saying, like you progressed through, when you got to Alabama, you started to progress. You can see that in your stats. When did you realize that you would become an NBA player at Alabama? When did you realize, when did you first get the inkling that, okay, this is about to happen?
I realized the summer, actually, it was during the season. I remember the summer after my freshman year, I only averaged like 2 or 3 points a game. I felt like I was slow. I felt like I couldn't run as quick as these guys. Well, all of that was true. It was true because those guys had their manly strength at that time, and I was still weak. I was a boy. So coach sent me to Russia to play on the summer league team, me and Hollywood Robinson and a bunch of other guys from the SEC. And I remember going over there, and I started to get my stride. I was averaging 17, 18 points a game. I started to get the confidence in myself. And right then and there in Russia, I realized I got an opportunity to play on the next level. I just got to keep working at this. And from there, everything just blossomed. Sophomore year, second team All-SEC, second leading rebound in the SEC. And it just kept going. A lot of injuries came, but thank the Lord, I was able to fight against those injuries and get back on the floor.
It's called perseverance, my man. It's called perseverance. It's something that you need to enter that league. It's something that you need to be a professional basketball player. So I hope a lot of people, when they're listening to you, perseverance. Yeah, he had injuries, but he persevered. He didn't let nothing stop him. And you mentioned Hollywood Robinson. That's another guy, man. He was cold as a winter's walk, my man. And I remember watching, of course, I'm a basketball fan, so I watched Alabama. Not a lot, but I watched you guys. I remember Hollywood. I think you played with my guy, Jamal Faulkner. Did you play with Jamal Faulkner too?
Yeah, I played with Jay Falk. A great player, in his own right. Definitely great player.
He was out of New York, high school, great high school player. He was like 6'8". He could do everything. I couldn't even believe somebody could be that good. It was amazing to watch him. And he's one of those players that inspired me too as a basketball player. Like, I think he was a year older than me in high school, but he just inspired me, man. Him and a lot of other players. But That's good, man. Okay, so now you get to Alabama. You persevere. You get better every year, and now you get drafted by a team who me and my guy right here from New York, we notoriously hated, but at the same time we respected so much. You get drafted by the Chicago Bulls and become a two-time champion. So just walk us through those years, those first 2 years you get drafted. Just take us, start from the draft, take us to the first 2 years of playing basically with the best.
But Jason, before you get into that, I just want to let this out because I've been holding on to this for literally like about 23 years. I don't like you guys, man. Y'all killed us, man. And I hated y'all for those 2 years, man. But absolutely, man. Congratulations on those 2 championships. But, man, I just needed to let that out. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Hey, listen, the Bulls broke our heart. Like, you don't understand, Cav. And this even before you got here. The Bulls consistently, every year, just broke our hearts. Every year. We thought we were so close, and then we just got it yanked from us. And Mike did it so cruelly. But take us to the draft and take us into those first 2 years of your perspective of the Chicago Bulls.
Right. Well, Chanel, going into the draft, it was kind of a stressful time for me because at the beginning of my senior season, I broke my right foot. So I had to take some time off, and I couldn't even really get started with the team. I had to, get myself back in shape and let that foot heal. So it wasn't a great season. I wasn't even on the draft board by the time it came around for the draft. So I was invited to, I think Portsmouth was the first tournament I went to. And went to Portsmouth. Thank the Lord. I was just starting to get healthy again around that time. Went in Portsmouth. There are only 2 guys that were invited from Portsmouth to go to Phoenix. Me and another guy named Mark were those 2 guys. We went in there and just kicked ass and didn't play. We did. Went on from there to Phoenix and had another great camp. Went to Chicago, played 1 or 2 days and got injured. Just a sprained ankle, nothing major. But one of the scouts came up to me and told me, Jason, don't push it. You don't need to play anymore. You played yourself into the first round of the draft. So I was kind of happy with that. I didn't know where I would go at the time. A guy from Indiana came up to me and he said, Jason, where do you think you'll fall in the draft? And I said, well, hopefully, early second round, somewhere up in there. And he said, we got the 23rd pick. Don't worry about it. You won't get past the 23rd pick. So draft night at my house, the whole neighborhood's there. We're partying hard. With the 20th pick in the 1995 NBA draft, Chicago Bulls select Jason Caffey. I didn't even know this was coming, man. Tears just, came in my eyes right then, and I just went celebrating. I got to be honest, I'm 47 years old now, and I've had a lot of fun times in my life. That feeling has never been duplicated again.
Hey, listen, as a basketball player, I got chills going down my spine just thinking about that. Like you getting drafted to the Bulls and playing with some of the greatest players that ever played the game. So you get drafted. You're a Bull now. Celebrations, rightfully so. So tell me what it was like, going to training camp and into the season, just every day, basically, seeing these guys, seeing Mike, seeing Scotty, what was that like?
Man, it was a dream come true because I was in Chicago in '91 for the Windy City Classic, which was a basketball classic that featured some of the best high schools from around the country. I was actually the reason Davidson got invited there. Ironically, my coach and the AD went to see the Bulls play, and I was the reason that we went to Chicago, and they didn't even take me to play. I had to watch the game at Gino's Pizza. So drafted the Bulls. I'm looking at these guys that I wanted to meet when I was in high school. And there's not much talking going on. They don't have much to say to me because you got to prove yourself with those guys before they even talk to you. The first few months was tough, man. I got to be honest with you. I felt the same way I felt in college again. I just felt like I was slower. I wasn't athletic enough to play with those guys, but I realized these guys have been doing this now for, 5, 10 years. They've worked themselves into shape. So I got to get myself into shape. Excuse me 1 second, guys. Go ahead and step out, please. Yeah, I had my contractor riding with me, and I was asking him to step out. But anyway, So I started to get in shape with these guys, and then things are starting to come about for me, and I'm getting a little playing time. I had a good game against Indiana, and that was the first time Michael Jordan even spoke to me after 2-3 months of being in Chicago. And he said, Jason, you did a good job tonight. Keep it up, little bitch. That's how it was, man.
I mean, to only be called that by Michael Jordan, man. I mean, I would. Oh man, I can't even imagine, man.
I wanted to swing on him, man. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it's Mike. You can't do
It's
that.
Mike. You can't do that.
I let it go.
So Jason, let me ask you, man, because you know, especially watching The Last Dance, and kind of it's legendary, you know what I'm saying, about these bull scrimmages. Like, how intense were they for real? Like, is it as bad as like they made it seem where Mike was like throwing fists and cursing people out? Was that like just standard every practice?
Brother, look at me when I say this, and I'm gonna take my glasses off so you can see my eyes. The only reason I'm alive today is because what I learned in those practices with Michael Jordan. It was like being in the military. He truly believed that if you practice 100% all the time, the game would just simply be an extension of practice. And that's how we came. I never seen Mike miss a day of practice in 2.5 years. Never. Scotty didn't miss practice. Dennis, he might come in there smelling like a whiskey still, but guess what? He's gonna run and bust his ass that whole practice. And it was tough, man.
And I don't think people really understand. You know, people talk about, and I've been seeing people commenting with Michael Jordan, comment about Scottie Pippen. People don't understand like that type of determination, like coming to practice and practicing 100%. And by the way, Tim Duncan was like the same way. I played with the Spurs for 1 year. The same way they come to practice with this level of focus, like it's a game or something. Like it's a real game, and they just take that to the court. And to do that for 15 years, you know, it just, people don't understand how amazing that is, that these guys can highly perform at, you know, over a decade, every single game for the most part. And that comes starting with the practices and taking that seriously. So it's amazing to hear that. And I hope, you know, any young player watching this is like, you got to take it serious. You got to take your practices serious. You got to take your training serious. It's not a joke.
Yeah, it's total commitment. And that's why I learned the total commitment thing. And that's why when I had the downfalls in my life, I was able to recover because I just went back to the things that I learned from Michael being in practice. And as I said, Scotty and Dennis practice as hard as Michael, but you could tell that one guy, he was the leader. If he would have slacked off, those guys would have slacked off. He never slacked off, so they couldn't slack off.
And that's another thing too about what basketball does as far as, you know, we play basketball, if you're lucky till you're 35, that's a great career, but we have this long life ahead of us after that. And those characteristics for you to like first make it to the NBA, but to sustain in the NBA and to be successful, those characteristics, they go into your regular life, into whatever you're doing. And especially now that we're in the 40s now, mid 40s, we've learned so many lessons from basketball and from certain people that we played with that now we're able to, even when you're not having the best of times, we've learned so many lessons to persevere and to advance ourselves and to help other people and inspire other people after basketball.
I agree with you 100%, brother. You've been there. You know what that's like, that lifestyle. You hit it on the nail.
No doubt. Okay, man. I don't want to. That was the basketball stuff. So the name of the show is The Social Athletic. So now, you know, we have a lot of things going on in the society right now, and I think it's only right that we discuss a little bit of some social issues. And my first question for you socially is, what was your perception of racial issues growing up in Alabama, in the South? What was your outlook of what was going on in Alabama during your younger years?
Yeah. It was kind of different for me. Like, for example, there are like 6 or 7 high schools closer to my house that are predominantly black than the high school that I went to. But because of this case that we had back in the 70s, they wanted to transport us, the African-American kids, out to Davidson High School, which is like 10 miles away from my home, so we can intermingle with our counterparts, the Caucasian whites. So my experience with white people was totally different because in elementary school, I went to predominantly white schools. In middle school, I went to predominantly white school. In high school, I went to predominantly white schools. So I had a pretty good understanding of what that world was like. And I didn't see a lot of prejudice because those same white kids were subject to what we were subject to. They had to go to school with us and we had to get along together. And like I said, there are 8 other schools closer to my home that were predominantly black, but I didn't get to attend them. Because of where I live, they shipped me to Davidson.
No doubt. What has your experience been as far as growing up with the police in Alabama? As growing up, you know, what has your experience been as far as police and fair treatment?
So now, I've lived a blessed. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. You're breaking up.
No,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Man, I can't, a lot of the things that our brothers go through, and they definitely go through it, I haven't been through it. So many cops, speeding tickets, all kind of things that I've gotten into. White cops, Mr. Caffey, slow it down. Mr. Caffey, take it easy. Mr. Caffey, you had too much to drink tonight. Park your car and tell somebody to come get you. I could have got a DUI, could have got tickets, could have went to jail, all that stuff. These white boys took care of me, man. It was just a respect all the time here. And that might change one day, and I might feel totally different. But I can't say a lot of bad things because I've always been taken care of by the Caucasians in this town for whatever reason.
And I'm truly happy, like, for your experience of going through that, you know, not going through so many things. I think the first time I was stopped by the police, I was like 11 years old. Me and my friend, we were in a park, and they thought we were like trying to rob, it's like identity. They thought we were people who robbed an old lady. And at 11 years old, we walking down the park, the park steps of Morningside Park in New York, and the cops, hey, come here. And we ran, and they went off chasing us. And then when I heard freeze, I froze at 11 years old. And they took us to the precinct, asking me all these questions, and it turned out that my friend, he had a BB gun. He was like 13. And man, they was going to try to jam us up. They asked me all these questions at 11 years old. And the thing I was most afraid of, other than the cops, is breaking my curfew and going home and my mother just lighting wood to me. I was afraid of that the most. But I was 11 years old the first time I got stopped by the cops. And that basically shaped my thought process of the cops as I got older. So, I mean, that's New York, but I'm glad to see that some people don't, have to experience that, but there are many of us who do, unfortunately. So it's a big issue.
I plan on combating that, Chanel.
Right.
My goal is to run for senator of my district down here in 2022. I have a lot to talk about that because just because I didn't experience it doesn't mean I don't need to address it. But for me to address it, I can only talk about my experiences with it. Now, when I get in a position of power, if I'm able to win that position, I definitely will be dealing with that topic.
Yo, I'm telling you right now, Brother Caff, I will do anything I can do for you to help you get into that office and win that election and become an Alabama state senator, senator from Alabama. So you automatically have my support, man, just on knowing you the short time. And I'll do anything as far as promoting or anything you need to like help you in that case, in that cause. So I'm only gonna be like a phone call away from you, man. A brother from another mother.
And I'm one state away, and I'll make sure that I'll keep an eye on that as well, because we need more brothers in there. You know what I'm saying? Just changing the rules for us and making sure that we're in positions of not just power, but more so equality. So absolutely, man.
Hey, Kevin, are you talk about this the state senator or senator of Alabama? One of the senators, one of the two senators, or state senate?
You're right. I'm with District 33 down here in Mobile. We have a current senator, and she's been there for 30 years. I can't say anything bad about the lady. I just want to preach from my platform. I don't want to win anything based off the merits of anybody else. I just want to win off the good things that I want to do. That's why you see me active on Facebook, doing the things with the community, feeding the kids, rebuilding houses for people to live in, working with the mentally ill. I feel like if I'm already doing the senator's job, Why shouldn't I be the senator in 2 years?
You're absolutely right, man.
Right.
And hopefully that might inspire me later on in life, man, because I definitely thought about that. I don't know about Senate, but I definitely thought about like political office. But I'm so happy to hear you say that. I'm so happy for you to put in the universe, and we're gonna try to make that happen. And just your response alone, like just the way you say it, is definitely what we need in government. You know, people who are not into like bashing anybody or just willing to just walk the walk. You know, instead of talking the talk, walking the walk. So I already know that you're going to be a great success and then whatever you do. So like I said, you have my support and whatever I can do, brother.
Thank you, big fella.
No doubt. All right, so let's talk about what's going on with the coronavirus in Alabama. I mean, we've been hearing some things, but I just wanted to hear from what's going on. You know, it was terrible in New York, as you can imagine. I mean, it was. I lost like 5 people that I know off the top. I lost one of my college teammates. Everybody that I know has been hit by coronavirus, and I'm talking deaths. I'm not talking about sickness. So, I mean, almost everybody knew somebody, more than one person in New York who died from the coronavirus. We recently got it under control, but tell me your perspective about the coronavirus in Alabama.
It's been bad, man. The second wave has come through here. Of course, a lot of people losing their lives is the worst thing. I know a whole family that passed because of it. So it's sad because we're a smaller town and people are a little more close knit together here because there's only, 300, 400,000 people here. So we kind of know everybody. So it hits a little harder, not to take anything away from what you've gone through in New York. This second wave has come through, man, and it's been even worse. A lot of people losing their jobs. It's a bad thing, brother. I really don't have answers for it. Just hope we can get through this.
For sure. I mean, we went through it bad. You know, right now we definitely got it under control. But of course, I'm still optimistic on how I, you know, make my moves and my approaches to everyday life. But we just got to pray and hope that, you know, our leaders, you know, start to do the right thing to keep people safe and you know, and not necessarily brush it off. And I don't want to, you know, say no names or go into that right now, but it's definitely real, man. And we have to protect ourselves and inform people and protect others. And I hope that you guys down there, as we move forward, that, you know, that people start to just be smart, man, and just, you know, do the things that you can to protect yourself and protect your family. So this thing could pass, and then we can go be a better society, not just going back to the same, but just be a better society. That's my hope. So I hope you get it under control down there. Dan, you got anything?
Yeah, you know, we're getting hit down here in Atlanta as well pretty hard. So, you know, things opened up and then things are closing down, and now we have some of our leaders fighting with each other on, you know, agreeing on certain things and disagreeing on other things. I hadn't known too much about Alabama. I know you guys are just our sister state, just not too far away from us. Actually 20 minutes away from us. But you know, I'm hoping that you guys stay safe down there because the good thing is that Alabama is a little bit more open. There's not too many cities and not too many people getting close together. But you know, just we all have to wear our masks. We all have to, you know, take those precautions. And I think that a lot of people are not doing that enough. We just have to keep being those voices to be like, hey, you need to protect yourself because it's not just about you. It's also about your grandma and your grandpa and the people that have pre-existing conditions that we have to be mindful to. So just continue to keep spreading that message so that we don't have to worry about a second wave or a third or fourth or fifth wave or even shutting this whole thing down for, you know, till 2022.
Brother Caff. So I guess I want to hear how are you, and you mentioned a little bit, but how are you going to move forward into, like, as far as informing the youth and to making it a better world in Alabama? Like, what are the things that, you know, you plan on doing or doing right now to improve or to just making people more aware, making people more educated? How are you moving forward down there in Alabama as far as what are you doing?
Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing another Caffey Cares event at 5 o'clock where I'll be feeding the youth. At these events that I do and these camps that I do, I don't use basketball anymore to try to get kids to the league. That's just too simple. It's too simple-minded. I use basketball to educate kids. When I do these basketball camps, I have law enforcement officers actually there to interact with these and take them through a police stop. I'll have a kid sit on a desk and have a police come up behind him and go through an actual police stop. So the kid knows to keep his hand at 10 and 2 o'clock position. And I'm not teaching kids to be submissive to the law, but the law is the law. And if they respect it, I think it'll be easier for them. I don't want them to try to buck with the law because they give the law the upper hand. I'm also try to get these kids' ACT score up. So if they're not athletes, they can go to college just on an academic scholarship. We're doing financial literacy, teaching them how to budget a bank account. Some of the basic things that we were taught years ago that they've gone away from now. I'm passing out all this information. We're on the basketball court too, and we get a great workout in. But realistically, Charnel, less than 1% of these kids are going to go pro. Come on. So we got to fill them up with something more than that. Just giving them basketball back is not enough.
I think that's fascinating, man. I think that's fascinating. And I know we'll be on future phone calls about these things because, you're gonna lead the trail as far as you get into politics and our community improvement. And I'm definitely gonna, stay tuned to those things and just pick your mind about these things so I can bring that aspect up to New York in my own capacity. Dan, you got anything?
Yeah, man.
I'm with that 100%, brother.
Yeah, Jason, I wanted to say thank you, man, because I actually did a little bit of research on you right beforehand. I see some of the programs that you're putting together, mentoring younger kids, especially athletes that are, coming into their manhood. These are the type of programs that we need. A lot of us look at you guys as athletes, and you guys played with Michael Jordan. You guys were in the NBA. You did all these achievements, but it's what are you going to do afterwards? Saying that's just as important. So, I've seen a lot of things that you overcame, and I just want to say I appreciate everything that you have done, even though you did beat my Knicks, which I didn't like. But I want to say, man, I appreciate what you're doing to step out there and actually help the next wave of generations coming into the league, or even if not coming into the league, just learning how to be better men in our society. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
And I'm gonna say this too, Cav. This podcast, I'm not that type of person who likes to, I've never been trying to get in front of camera and do anything. But so many of these things happen. I just been inspired by everything. And I knew if I did something like this, I would want to have guests. It's not about celebrity or anything like that, and that's okay. I'm not down in that. But I wanted to have guests with substance that can really. People who are actually just aware of things and actually who are doing things. Somebody I met you 2 years ago, and it was you were the first person that I thought about. I think I might have texted you way back about I got to have you on as a guest, my first guest. But it's people like you that I think through your experiences, it's going to make this world a better place. And it's people like you that's going to help us as Black people, as all people, not just Black people, but just all people. To become better and do better, and because it's not United States should not be going through the things that we're going through right now. It's and we should just be better. And it's going to take people like you and people like you who inspire other people. That's going to make this place a better place. So I definitely want to tell you that. I'm gonna conclude there. I know you're busy, but it's been an absolute honor to have you on the Social Athletic, man. You've been my first guest, and we're gonna make this episode reach to as many people as possible. And I look forward to the future conversations with you and working with you in other capacities.
Thank you, brother.
No doubt. So peace, Social Athletic. That was episode 2. We'll have our next guest. We will inform you soon. If you have any questions, you can reach me at scott3618@gmail.com. Send me your concerns. Send me anything, any type of questions you want. We'll bring them back on the show. And we're going to leave it at that. Jason, it's been a pleasure, brother. I'll speak to you soon. I'll talk to you later, man. Hopefully we can chop it up, all right?
Great job, man. One love. I love the show. Keep it rocking, man.
No doubt, man. Peace.
Take care.
Hold up, Jay.